Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unlock one of the absolute most rewarding gardening secrets out there. We are talking about how to grow a thriving, abundant blueberry patch right on your patio, deck, or balcony. It's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get right into it. Just imagine stepping out your front door on a crisp summer morning, reaching out and plucking a handful of plump, juicy, farm-fresh berries to toss right into your breakfast. Now, you might be thinking you need a massive backyard to do that. But did you know you can absolutely achieve this even if you just have a tiny apartment balcony? It's true. You really don't need a sprawling garden to harvest your own antioxidant-rich fruit. With the right setup, even complete beginners can grow literally decades worth of fruit right in containers. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our step-by-step agenda for today. We're going to cover pots and soil essentials, choosing the right variety, watering and feeding tips, pruning and winter care, and finally, expectations and final thoughts. Section 1, Pots and Soil Essentials. This is all about building the perfect foundation for your berries. So for a mature blueberry bush, you're going to want a container that is between 16 to 24 inches wide. Blueberries have these incredibly shallow spreading root systems, so they really need that width to stretch out. Also, drainage holes, absolutely non-negotiable. Blueberries absolutely hate soggy feet and will quickly succumb to root rot if water sits in there. And here's a massive pro tip to keep in mind. Avoid black containers. Seriously, black plastic absorbs that intense summer heat, and it will rapidly bake and dry out those delicate, shallow roots. Next up, we need to talk about soil. Now, please, do not just grab a generic bag of, junk food potting soil from the hardware store. Blueberries require a highly specialized diet. Use the rule of threes to remember this perfect container recipe. You want equal parts peat moss for critical acidity and water retention, pine bark fines to provide airy space for the roots to breathe, and perlite or coarse sand to make sure water drains through quickly. 4.5 to 5.5. I need you to remember those numbers because this pH range is the secret to the whole shebang. Blueberries are notoriously picky eaters. They are acid-loving plants. If your soil pH creeps up past 5.5, the plant basically locks down. It literally cannot absorb nutrients, and that is going to severely stunt its growth. Let's move to the fun part and see how this actually builds. Putting this all together into the planting process is wonderfully foolproof. First, just fill your container about halfway with that acidic mix we just talked about. Second, take your nursery plant and gently massage the root ball to loosen up those tightly wound roots. Third, place the plant so the crown, that's a spot right where the stem meets the roots, is sitting just above the soil level. Finally, give it a deep, thorough watering to get rid of any air pockets, and top the whole thing off with a nice thick layer of pine needle mulch to lock in that moisture. Section 2, choosing the right variety. We have to match the bush to your specific climate and space. You really need to know your USDA hardiness zone before you go shopping. Look, if you live in a colder climate with frigid, long winters, you're going to want a northern high bush, like the famous blue crop. These actually need a certain amount of cold chill hours during the winter to produce fruit. On the flip side, if you live in a warmer, milder region, you've got to select a southern high bush, like sunshine blue. These are heat tolerant and require very few chill hours to trigger their fruiting cycle. Now, for container growers, we know space is often at a premium, so you might want to look at some compact patio champions. Top Hat is a fabulous northern dwarf variety that tops out right around 2 feet tall. Jelly Bean is this amazing high-yield producer that fits almost anywhere. Sunshine Blue is a fantastic southern option that actually keeps its gorgeous foliage year-round. And Peach Sorbet, its leaves transition through these stunning pink, orange, and emerald tones, so it honestly doubles as incredibly decorative patio landscaping. And here is a total secret weapon for an abundant harvest. While a lot of modern varieties are technically self-pollinating, pairing 2 compatible plants acts as a massive yield booster. If you plant at least 2 bushes of similar types that bloom at the exact same time, the bees will cross-pollinate them for you. The result? Your future harvest will be significantly larger, and the berries are going to be even plumper. Section 3, Watering and Feeding Tips. This is your daily care routine for maximum fruit production. Your everyday goal is to keep the soil consistently moist but never soggy. In the peak of summer heat, you really need to check the top inch of soil daily. Just stick your finger in there. If it's dry to the touch, it's time to water. Also, try to water right at the base using a drip system or by bottom watering. Overhead watering can actually promote fungal issues on leaves. Oh, and importantly, if you have access to collected rainwater, absolutely use it. Hard well water or alkaline tap water will slowly raise your soil's pH over time, and that fights against the delicate acidic balance we worked so hard to establish. Of course, you must feed your bushes correctly too. Use a slow-release, acid-loving fertilizer, the kind they formulate for azaleas or rhododendrons, and do that once in early spring and again in late spring. So the crucial point is to avoid heavy, high-nitrogen fertilizers. Those will just push the plant to grow tons of green leaves at the total expense of actually producing your fruit. And for a really fun, essentially free hack, scatter your spent coffee grounds on top of the soil occasionally. They provide a fantastic, gentle acidic nutrient boost. Now, even with the best care, plants actually talk to us when they're unhappy, and you can learn to read their leaves. If the leaves are turning a uniform pale yellow all over, your plant is hungry for nitrogen. If the leaves turn yellow but the veins stay dark green, that's an iron deficiency, which usually means your soil pH has crept up way too high. And if the older leaves start getting pink edges with yellowing between the veins, well, that's a magnesium deficiency. But don't worry, that is easily fixed with a little dose of Epsom salts. Here is one more location warning that almost all beginners miss. Keep your blueberry pots away from bare concrete foundations, driveways, or masonry walls. Why? Well, because over time, rainwater splashing off that concrete can actively leach lime and calcium right into your container soil. And that will completely ruin the acidic environment your blueberries absolutely need to survive. Section 4. Pruning and winter care. Ensuring the long-term survival of your healthy canes. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we need to do. In late winter or early spring, right before the plant wakes up from dormancy, you want to make clean cuts to remove any weak, spindly, or low-growing shoots down at the base. They're going to get shaded out anyway, and they just drain the plant's energy. Then, head back those younger, excessively tall canes by just snipping off the top few inches. This forces the plant to branch out laterally, which gives you a bushier, far more productive plant. Now, this next tip requires some serious extreme patience, but I promise you, it pays off massively. For the first 2 to 3 years of your young plant's life, you should actually rub off or snip away all the plump, round terminal fruit buds before they bloom. Actually, scratch that. I know it hurts to remove potential berries, but doing this redirects all of the plant's energy away from fruiting and forces it down into building a massive, robust root system. That root system is exactly what will support huge yields for you later on. When winter rolls around, remember that roots in a container lack the natural geothermal insulation of the earth. If you live in a very cold zone, your container can freeze solid and literally kill the plant. To prevent this, just move the container into an unheated garage or shed once temperatures drop below freezing. That blocks the bitter wind. Just remember to toss a little water on it maybe 2 or 3 times over the entire winter so the dormant roots don't dry out completely. Section 5. Expectations and final thoughts. Let's set you up for decades of harvests. To keep your blueberry bush thriving for that long, you're going to need to do a few recurring, multi-year tasks. Every 2 to 3 years, you should repot the bush into a slightly larger container with fresh, acidic soil to prevent it from becoming root-bound. If you see roots circling the drainage holes at the bottom, that's your visual cue, it's time. Also, as the plant ages, you'll want to practice rejuvenation pruning. This is where you completely cut out 1/3 of the thickest, oldest, grayest woody stems right down to the base. Doing this signals the roots to shoot up fresh, vigorous, highly productive new canes. Now, it's absolutely crucial to remember that gardening is an ongoing partnership with nature. Your personal results are naturally going to vary based on individual conditions, local microclimates, unexpected severe weather, and of course, local wildlife. Because let's face it, birds love blueberries just as much as we do. Think of these guidelines as a way to work intelligently with nature rather than fighting against it. You now have the complete step-by-step blueprint from soil acidity all the way to pruning cuts. You are fully equipped to start your very own container garden today. So the only real question left is, what variety are you going to plant in your patio patch this spring? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Get out there, get your hands a little dirty, and happy planting.